video is sponsored by Bird Collective. Hi! A while ago, I made a video about why pigeon nests are so odd and why they're as ugly as they are. After that video, a lot of you guys asked that I make a video about other strange bird nests. So today we're going to be exploring the world of 5 different birds and their strange nesting behavior. The rufous tornero, more commonly known as the oven bird, makes a nest that resembles an oven. Not that kind of oven. There you go. The red ovenbird uses clay, grasses, mud, and other natural materials to construct their nests. Typically, the shape of the nest will be somewhat circular, with an opening either on the side or on the top. The enclosed design not only provides shelter from the weather and predators, but also helps to regulate the temperature of the incubating eggs. These birds are found in eastern South America, where the temperature can greatly differ from day to night. However, the inside of an ovenbird's nest varies much less over time. According to the Journal of Thermal Biology, a red ovenbird's nest is typically much higher on the inside than it is on the outside, and is also especially effective at holding in heat when it's in direct sunlight, obviously. The Journal of Thermal Biology also says, we demonstrate that the incubation chamber hypothesis is consistent with the data, which suggests that the evolved function of the rufous and narrow nest is for temperature regulation. We suggest several reasons for such a chamber, especially in the favor of foraging over incubation and the incubation-foraging trade-off, but also to generate asynchronous hatching in an otherwise synchronously hatching bird. Thank you, disembodied voice.
You're welcome.
Basically, the red ovenbird's nest is believed to be an incubation chamber of sorts. And this benefits the red ovenbird by allowing them more time for foraging for food and less time sitting on their eggs, incubating them. Megapods, also called mound builders, take the oven aspect of a red ovenbird's nest and crank it up to the extreme. Instead of just sitting on their eggs like every other bird, male megapods will create huge mounds of dirt, sand, and rotting vegetation in order to make an incubation chamber for their nests. As the vegetation in these huge mounds decomposes, it generates heat, and the sand and the soil insulate that heat inside, making a pretty temperature-regulated area that's also warm and can incubate the eggs. To make sure that the temperature for the eggs is just right, the male acts as a bird thermostat, so to speak. They'll poke their beak into the mound to check its temperature and make adjustments to the nest based on if it's too warm or too hot. If it's too warm, they'll scoop away insulation to allow heat to escape. And if it's too cold, they'll add more so that more heat is kept inside of the nest. This process goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until eventually the eggs hatch, and little chicks crawl their way out of the dirt with their feet. It's really cute. They're born with really big feet. Tailor birds, like a lot of the birds on this list, receive their names because of the way that they make their nests. Many birds use leaves and grasses to make a nest, but tailor birds use these materials in a really unique way. A tailor bird's nest starts with an adequate leaf. It needs to be strong enough to be folded and large enough to house a female bird inside. Once the leaf is folded, a tailor bird uses its needle-like beak to puncture holes into the leaf's edge. Once those holes are created, the tailor bird threads material through them to hold everything in place. The kind of thread that a tailor bird uses kind of varies based on what's in the area, but typically it's either plant fibers, spider silk, or even silk from cocoons from like moths and caterpillars and stuff like that. Once the main structure of the nest is complete, it's then filled with softer materials to make it more comfortable, like feathers or animal hair. Even though the general construction of these nests is pretty similar from bird to bird, there is some variation. As described from a first-hand encounter from Edward Aitken, some birds use one leaf to make their nest, and others tie together multiple leaves if one is too small. In his first-hand encounter, he says, I've often seen
a nest made of a single large leaf. On the other hand, where broad-leaved plants are scarce, the bird will use more than 2. But the fewer leaves, the less tailoring, as the bird knows.
There's also a little bit of variety from bird to bird in terms of how they actually sew together their nest. While tailor birds haven't been observed making knots, some of them will have the same piece of material go through multiple holes, kind of in a human-like weaving fashion. Knots or not, God, I still think that it's really impressive that a bird is able to sew at all. I mean, they don't have hands. That's crazy. Tailor birds aren't the only bird to incorporate weaving into their nest building. As their name suggests, southern masked weavers use weaving to build their nests. For southern masked weavers, a nest is more than a place to live and raise their young. Male weavers create their nests, or sometimes multiple nests, in order to impress females. The beauty and quality of a male's nest determines how likely he is to find a mate. If a female weaver likes a male weaver's nest, she'll go inside put some nesting materials inside of it, and lay her eggs there. According to the BBC Wildlife magazine, to build these nests, the male selects
a suitable branch, strips it of any leaves, then knots a long, thin blade of grass around it. From this he weaves a sturdy hoop, continuing to thread, knot, and plait until its construction resembles a neat oval dome. The whole process takes about 5 days, and the more experienced the weaver, the more intricate and attractive the results.
Once the nest is complete, it'll hang securely from the structure it was attached to, ready for a female to lay her eggs in. An interesting challenge that weavers tend to face is the threat of parasites, defined as an animal that relies on another animal to raise its young. For birds, this typically means that a parasite bird will lay their eggs in another bird's nest, resulting in the original bird's offspring having less resources or being killed outright by the parasitic bird. For weavers, cuckoos and sparrows tend to be the main culprit of this parasitism. If you'd like a video all about brood parasitism both in birds and other animals, let me know in the comments because it's so interesting. I want to make a video about it. If it isn't really obvious, I love birds, and I'm the kind of person that wants to make that everybody's problem. So naturally, I really like clothing that has birds on it. I have a whole collection of shirts from Bird Collective, a company that I've been working with for over a year now. Bird Collective is a company that makes clothing, accessories, and just other merchandise for people who are really into birds. They have a lot of really cool designs and a lot of variety when it comes to the different birds that they represent. They create merch for birds from all over. So whether you're more coastal or stuck in the Midwest like me, Bird Collective probably makes a shirt or some kind of merchandise for a bird that lives in your area. And since I'm a fan of a lot of the birds in the Midwest, that's awesome for me. And the best part is that Bird Collective isn't just a company made for people who like birds. It's run by people who like birds. A portion of Bird Collective's profits goes towards donating funds to bird aid organizations, meaning your purchase will be benefiting you, benefiting me with your commission, and benefiting birds. The link to their website is in the sponsored section of my link tree, and that's also where you can find a coupon code that you'll get a discount on all their products from. Thank you, Bird Collective, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's check out that last bird nest. Sociable weavers construct what can be described as a bird apartment complex, able to house hundreds of pairs of birds over multiple generations. Sociable weavers' nests are made with teamwork, with hundreds of birds collectively making one home, kind of like how bees make a hive. In order to make their nests, weavers gather stiff grasses and twigs and weave them into a large umbrella-shaped base in a high structure, usually a tree. As generations of birds continue to add to the nest, making it bigger and bigger, eventually they become the enormous structures that weavers have become known for. And while weavers may be the ones who construct these nests, they're not the only ones who benefit from it. Falcons, finches, vultures, and even owls will find use in the nest, whether it's perching on top of it or even living inside of it with the weavers. And typically this is beneficial for the weavers because more eyes on the nest means that they are more protected from predators, or at least less likely to be surprised by one. Sociable weavers display a lot of skill both with nest building and with teamwork. A sociable weaver's nest could never be built by just one bird, or even one generation of birds. Sociable weavers rely on each other for survival, and they need cooperation not only to maintain the nest for the birds that currently live in it, but also for the generations of birds that will follow. Considering these birds are only like 5.5 inches in length, it's safe to say that sociable weavers are a remarkable example of how size and strength isn't all that matters when it comes to survival. Sometimes it's community and cooperation that ends up being a species' biggest advantage. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe so that you won't miss my next upload. Alongside long videos like this, I also post short form content here on YouTube and also on my social media, so you have something to watch in between these longer videos. And if you'd like to support my channel even more, I also have a Patreon where I post behind the scenes content every week. Every bit of support means the world. It allows me to continue to make these videos, and you'll get a shout out at the end of every single long form video. If you have a topic that you'd like me to discuss in the future or a video idea that you want to share, let me know in the comments because this video that you're watching right now originated from a comment. Thank you again to Bird Collective for sponsoring today's video, and if you're subscribed, I hope I see you in the next one. Bye!